to work experiments. Wow, this bright light. My name is Sven. I work for Atlassian as a team advocate. And you can just like say team advocate to me. Sometimes I'm a work futurist. Sometimes I'm a developer advocate. My background is software engineering. But this talk, actually, even though we have a big engineering org at Atlassian, just like I think 8,000 people are now in the engineering part of Atlassian. So we have a very engineering culture. This talk is mainly about how everyone in the organization works better together and how we run work experiments to see actually how we go from current work to modern work. And this is also a little bit the theme of the talk, like what is actually modern work? So I talk to a lot of CEOs, CTOs these days, and they ask Sven, hey, we want to move to a more modernized work, right? Whatever that calls, right? And the question is actually, okay, yeah, you can move to a future of work, what the future will ever look like, but what are your current challenges, right? Where are you struggling the most? And we did a survey, and we asked, like, what are your current challenges to leadership of enterprise companies? And no wonder, actually, the one thing that came up first is people that doesn't see a clear vision. That's a challenge that big corporations have these days, that they don't know the vision. The people that are doing the work can't connect their work actually to the vision of the company or to the goals of the company. They're doing work on the ground, which is very valuable, but they can't connect actually the work to the vision. And that's actually what leadership tells us is a big challenge. Work stays in silos, right? Big corporate enterprises, we know, like to build silos. The marketing department, the R&D department, the legal department. But work stays in there. It has also something to do with goal settings. Goals are often set in silos, but goals should be across silos. We work towards the company vision that doesn't have any silos or any departments. And the third thing is, what I hear is actually we never have time to get things done because we are in meetings, we're doing busy work, right? But we never have time to really get stuff done. There's a lot of other things that we have to do, maintain, tech debt, all of the things, but really working on the problem, we don't have time for that. Now, that we know the challenges, right? We can go from the challenges actually to define where we want to go. What's our vision? Where we want to go? What does modern work should look like, right? How do we modernize our work, right? And it's obviously we need to have a clear direction where we're going, set by the company, set by the team, no matter what, right? They need to give us a clear direction of where we are going, what's important, and what's maybe not so important. Second thing is working across teams. We know that work that shouldn't stay in silos. Work flows across teams. So we need to optimize our work practices to flow through the organization. It's obvious. If just like build a web page, right? Think about that. Like, you need a marketing department, maybe. You need the legal department to look over the wording on the page. You need the web development. So there are a lot of teams designed. Yeah, there are a lot of teams involved, actually. So work flows naturally through our systems, through our organization. So we need to optimize for that. And the third thing is we need to look at how we can make our teams more productive. What are the bottlenecks? Where are we struggling? So moving from current work to modern work is also not just a snip by a finger, right? And we have the perfect framework for you because everything that I talk about today, and I have a lot of experiments, brought a lot of experience with me, is based on our culture, our ways of working. We change our ways of working. And it might not work for you. Maybe you can just like get some ideas and take that with you, but you have to run your own experiments and have to try out your own things that works in your environment and for your products. All right. How do we get now from current work to modern work? And I have been also talking a lot. And a lot of CEOs says, okay, Sven, if you just like define what modern work is, right? We have now the vision of what modern work is. So we are planning a big transformation, right? Going from current work to modern work. So we're planning all the things, all the steps, all the milestones, right? We have a big Microsoft project file where everything is in there. We're doing this first, the second, the third, right? And then at the end, right, we are there. We have modern work. Doesn't work that way. I've been in this industry for too long that I've seen like, oh yeah, we want to be agile, right? We're doing an agile transformation. So we're hiring Scrum Masters. We are educating everyone. We actually give everyone Jira. And after 2 years, we are all agile, right? And then you see just like, okay, how did it go, right? Yeah, we are doing mini waterfalls now. This is what I see. Because it is just like putting a framework on a company, right? That doesn't work, right? It seems simple, right? Okay, yeah, we just need to do daily stand-ups. But it's not working this way. We know that, right? Same with digital transformation. Or now we're doing an AI transformation, AI first, right? Whatever that means, right? At the end, we are also too late. Sometimes we're just like setting the goal 2 years in the back and then work towards it, right? And then things have changed and things are changing so quickly. So we need to be more faster and nimble. So going from current work to modern work is never a transformation. It's not a transformation. It is actually, and you saw that probably when you read the title, that I would talk about running little experiments. So it's little baby steps, just like going 1 step, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes you think like, oh, this will work. And in transformation, you would set it just like, yeah, we need to change this way of working to this one here. But it doesn't work for your organization. We know that. It's actually we need to test things out to see if it's working, and then roll it out to the rest of the organization. And that also, teams are different in the organization, so not everyone might do daily stand-ups, for example. That doesn't work for everyone. So let people pick whatever they think is best for their team and make that available to the people. Now, running experiments in teams seems to be just like, okay, you are just like doing your retrospective, then you just like define what you want to do, you run an experiment, and then you're done. And then people say, oh, but you know, Sven, we're super busy, right? We are doing things. So when should we take the time actually to change our ways of working? We don't have the time to do that. Yeah? And then people say, oh yeah, well, but hey, let's hire some people who are actually doing it for us, right? That are defining the way of working. They're running these experiments and then just like give us the best way of working. Let's have a work innovation team. Also, this is a great idea. And I have an example of an innovation team at the end. But it is actually the responsibility of everyone to work towards modern working. Great ideas can actually come from anywhere, right, in the organization. You can have a good idea. Not just the work innovation team can have great ideas. Everyone can have great ideas, and it's up to you to try it out, right? Because it's not just great ideas, it's great practices actually come from anywhere. And what we saw is actually there are some teams within Atlassian that are trying new ways of working. They're just like saying, okay, exit, we just like change it. We just like change the way we work and try things out. And it works for them. Does it work for the whole organization? I don't know. Does it work for other teams? Maybe, right? So what we decided on is actually those teams need help in our scale, right? As I said, 8,000 engineers. We're around, I think, 12, 13, 14,000 people right now. So we actually have the benefit of just like having a team. It's called the Teamwork Lab that are actually running these experiments for us. So they are actually looking for these practices that actually already works in one team, in our culture, in our environment, and want to try that out. These are behavioral science that just like add science to teamwork, right? And they say, okay, we're running these experiments, and then we measure the results and the outcome and see if this is a practice that actually helps teams to work better together. Right? So first thing, what they do is they identify work practices. That's probably more the harder part, right? Hearing about just like what works in one team and just like being everywhere and trying to find those work practices. Of course, people are reporting that. We have a big blogging culture, so everyone's blogging about their work practices. But they have to identify these work practices that actually works for one team, and what they think about this it might work for other teams too. So they identify first the work practices. The second thing is they're creating two groups of teams, right? So one team is the Works the New Way team, so that's the team A, and then we have a B team to just compare the results, right? Give them the new work practices, let the other people work the old way, and see how we improve things along the way. And then they are running the experiments. They help actually. They need to maybe tweak the work practice because they find out, yeah, it worked in the one team, but we have to just like tweak it a little bit to make it work for other teams. So that's actually, they're helping the teams to apply those work practice. And then they're sharing the results. So this is actually page-led meetings. I talk about that a little bit later, what that is. Doesn't matter at the moment, but this is the page where they shared the results. So they shared everything, how they run the experiment, what are the results, what are the findings. You can see here that's actually less frustration, more energy with page-led meetings. That's what they found out. And then all their approaches, testimonials, and then also the limitations of the work practice. So they're sharing that with everyone, so you can see how this experiment actually went. What are the benefits? Maybe what are also the not benefits, the drawbacks of this work practice. And then what they do next is actually if it's successful, they must roll it out to the whole organization. And we have a repository of work practices. We call it the team playbook. And here you can see, and if the work practice we think it can apply to the public, then also we share it with the rest of the world. We have a public page, Atlassian.com, T-Playbook. And you can just like go there, and there are some work practices that we think can actually work with everyone. I share the URL at the end. But this is actually, we have also an internal playbook, so we don't share everything. So this is actually what the play does, and then you have all the instructions. So everyone gets a step-by-step instruction how that works, and then we actually everyone can apply that work practices. Some work practices we actually say, okay, this is maybe something that every team needs to do, but most of this work practices is actually, okay, pick whatever fits for your team in your environment. We know it's working, it's making things better, but maybe your team is different and have different environment variables. All right, let's look at some experiments that we ran and some of the results. I think I have 9 different experiments here. First one is giving everyone a clear direction. So you know that if you give out goals like these goals here, increase fuel efficiency by 20%, send a message around the world by the end of December, increase the production of testing of the Mercury capsule by 50%. Yeah, these are good goals, right? There are numbers inside. Okay, maybe we can say, okay, it needs to be a little bit more detailed, but they have an end date. All of this looks great. But it doesn't tell us actually what we're doing, right? It's just numbers and what we call key results. We're missing the whole context around that. And these are actually goals that someone set out, but the objective behind this is actually send a man to the moon and return them safely to Earth by the end of the decade. This is actually what John F. Kennedy said in his speech. He didn't just give us the objective. Watch the speech. He also gave us the key results or the numbers, how to reach that. And it's great to inspire not just NASA but the whole nation, right? To get behind the goal, and we need to be better at that. Finding a clear vision, finding the North Star. So we actually took that and actually applied that to our focus areas or North Stars. So this is our 3 transformation. Everyone at Atlassian that you asked knows this is the vision that we set out, right? These are the 3 important things that we need to work on. Obviously AI, then something that we call system of work, workflows across the whole organization, and then also the enterprise cloud, so bring our biggest customers into the cloud to use our cloud system. So these are the 3 bigger things. Now, how do we get that down to goals, right? How do we make that actually that everyone is aware of that and everyone knows actually also not just the North Star, but also what takes us to that, what brings us to that North Star. So we ran an experiment where we said, okay, we know that not everyone knows actually the goals of Atlassian. So we simply created something we called an OKR hub. We're using OKRs, objects and key results. Is everyone familiar with objects? Most of you? Yeah, okay, great. It's just a goal-setting framework. So we set out the objectives and key results. We built an OKR hub, and these are actually our whole company objectives and key results. I had to obfuscate them because these are actually our actual goals. So there's just a simple Confluence page with the objective on the left side. You see Michael and Brooks has, our CEO, has one objective, and then you have the different people with key results. Also the transparency to know how we are tracking. Super important for everyone to know this, right? So everyone can actually read that in detail on that Confluence page, and this is the rest of the objectives and key results that plays to our three North Stars, that aligns with our three North Stars that we have. So we shared that page with everyone, just like, hey, look at that, right? This was the experiment that we tried to make our goals and objectives clearer to everyone, right? So we used that page actually to communicate our goals. This was the experiment that the team ran, and you saw the results are 6,100 people, which is around half of Atlassians that actually jumped on the page. Well, it's okay. I wouldn't call it a failure, right? We are, as I said, 13,000 people, but still not really good enough, right? So how do we communicate? Then the team said, okay, how can we communicate our direction better with the whole organization? So they ran another experiment, right? These objectives and key results, or our vision and goals, were normally communicated in in-person town halls. Of course, we are a distributed company worldwide, so we're just like zooming everyone in so everyone can watch it. We have the recording available, and so on, right? But we found that maybe this is not the best medium to actually explain our goals and key results and how we stand actually at Atlassian. So we actually tried something that we called Founder Update blog posts. So every quarter, our founder is doing a blog post about the state of Atlassian. So everyone knows actually what is the state of Atlassian, and also gives us a reminder. So it looks like this. There are more details that are not allowed to show here. This is also an old state of Atlassian, but you can see actually there are some thoughts on the business, how we are doing in the business. You can see these are our OKRs in focus. So reminder, these are our goals, right? You can see here focus areas, right? We just like jumped into AI at that time. We say, okay, this is a big opportunity here. So we change the focus area. So also goal changes. How do you communicate that, right? So also this is actually here in the blog post. And then we're also talking about what's next. Like, what is the current thinking of the leadership team? Where are we moving ahead? Super important, right? And then we have this Loom video where our CEO actually explains it in person and makes it more personal, actually. So the team just like designed that and said, hey, we're trying this a couple of times and see what are the results, how much better is that than the streamed or in-person town halls, right? And the results are actually, we have a 90% engagement on the founder blog post. You might say, okay, what does that mean, right? Still 10% missing. Probably we can't reach everyone, but it's a 50% increase. So we had a 60% actually engagement on the videos and on the in-person town halls, and a 90% engagement on this founder update blog post. So it works pretty well for us. So this is more in a company-wide thing, right? So, but the problem also with goals is like, how do you write awesome goals? So the team is also saying, okay, it's great that our leadership have their awesome goals, and we have actually special people that we have. These are goal experts. They are trained in writing great goals. They know how to write great goals. But there is this period at Atlassian every quarter that we need to update our goals. And these goal experts are quite busy with updating the company goals, right? And helping the leadership teams to write their goals, but they can't just like jump into every team and help them. So how do we solve that? So the team said, okay, we are actually building a bot, right? An agent that helps actually write better goals. So the team built an agent for the teams to write better goals. So this is just like the key results and objectives, and you just like select the agent. I think it's OKR helper agent. And the agent is trained how we write goals at Atlassian and helps teams actually to write better goals. And it actually works pretty well. I tried it with my goals, and everyone also built their own little agent for that, but the team has built the general agent, so they took all the learnings from the other agents and put it into this, and it works pretty well. It just like analyzes my objectives and my key results, and I can also brainstorm with the OKR helper here and say, hey, what would be better key results to do that? And it does exactly that. It gives me some better key results, or just like suggest some better key results. So that worked pretty well, giving people OKR helper, but I can't give you actually the numbers right now because we are still running this experiment internally. So hopefully I come back next year and then can share how the experiment went on the data side. But the signals are actually pretty impressive right now, how much people use it and how much people actually editing pages afterwards. So these actually helps people to write better goals, because I'm not a goals expert. I don't know if you're goals experts, but our developers are definitely not all goals experts. So it really helps to write better goals. All right. The next experiment is actually not done by the Teamwork Lab team, or has not been done by the Teamwork Lab team. It actually predates the Teamwork Lab team. But I want to also show you a little bit like, what is our thinking? What is our culture? And the culture was always there to run work experiments, to just like try new ways of working and apply that. And it's about effective project updates, right? So teams are normally organized in org charts. I already said that, but we know that teams, projects require more teams to work on things, right? This is not how work flows. Work flows across teams, through the organization, and how do we actually update everyone in the organization? So it's not so much dependencies, but everyone actually is informed and it's transparent. Your project is transparent, and you know what's going on in the project, and all the stakeholders are informed. This is also a big challenge that companies see. Like, how do we get the stakeholders aligned? So we also had that challenge, of course, or we still have that challenge. And how do you align the marketing, the R&D, the press, and the web team on a project, right? But they all have to contribute to that one project. Can have a lot of meetings to do that, but we tried a different approach. So this is actually an actual project that we ran. It's called Sunsetting the Jira Mac app. Who knew that we had a native Jira Mac app here? No one? Yeah, that was a problem. We had it, and no one knew it, right? And the adoption rate was pretty low. Even the Mac users, I think we had 2% running the native app, and the rest of the Mac users were using the web version of Jira, right? So there was a decision made by the team to say, okay, it's not worth working on that anymore, so we sunset the Jira Mac app. So what do? Yeah, you write a project plan. You need to tell everyone why you're doing it, right? And who is involved. So we also did a project plan, but it didn't look like that, right? It's not 2002 anymore. We didn't use any Excel or Google Sheets for that. We actually created a little app in Jira for that that turned out then I think we started with Confluence, and then we created an app in Jira, and then we actually integrated it in our products years later. So this is it, right? This is it. This is the project report, and we keep it short and sweet. But what's most important is actually that every project that someone does needs to answer 3 questions, and this is important for us. It's what are we doing, right? What are we doing? And you can see there's some links to Confluence pages, so there's more details attached to that. Then why are we doing it? What's the reason? Why are we doing it? And then also, how will success look like? How do we judge that this project is successful. So as I said, every project has to do that. And we define a project by 2 people or more working on one thing, or 1 person needs more than 2 weeks to work on one thing. They all have to create that. And when we started with it and rolled it out, guess what? Half of the projects couldn't answer these 3 questions because they never thought about, why are we actually doing it? Yeah, we have to do it, right? No. And then also we set an owner here who's leading it. And then the thing is, we have the stakeholders, so the followers that follows the project updates. So these are the people that are maybe interested, but also that have a stake in the project, and that need to know, like, now it's my turn, right? So they all get the project update. So it doesn't matter how the program looked, but we just like do updates every week. And you see, we are not perfect. There's some updates missing in between, but it works still, right? So this is the updates of the project, and you can see the status of the project there was always green. And you can also jump into the details if you want to know more, like what's actually under the hood, right? So there's a Jira Epic connected to that, and you can actually see all the little tasks that has been done to do that project. So Irene is doing that. Irene is updating all the project things, and is keep the stakeholders up to date with the updates. And if you just like recognize that the updates were pretty small. There was not a lot of a big project report every week that someone has to put out, so the effort first is small. Every Friday, you have 280 characters to report on your project. And it takes me probably, I don't know, for my 5 projects that I run, probably it takes me 15 minutes to update the project report. I just like say, hey, what's happened last week? What will happen next week on the project? Sometimes I don't do an update because I'm traveling to DevWorks UK, and I don't have time for doing an update, which is fine, right? It's also okay, but we're trying to keep people in the loop. And also for the other side, not just the reporting side, also the reading side, right? It's pretty easy because here you see my dashboard here. I'm following around 50 projects at Atlassian, which means I'm just like, I know what's happening in 50 different projects, and it takes me, and I get an update every Monday morning with all the updates from the last week, and it takes me around 1 hour each Monday to read through the updates and maybe comment on stuff. But after this 1 hour, I'm up to date. I know what's going on, right? I know what's going on in the projects that I'm interested in. And as I told you, right, 2 people or more working on something, so there's all little projects, there are big projects in there, so you can follow actually everything that is happening within Atlassian. We actually have 6,000 active projects at the moment running, but I'm just like following 50, and it really helps me to stay up to date. And no matter what methodology you use behind that, if you do Scrum, Kanban, Waterfall, whatever, right? Everyone just like writes the project update. That's the common thing that we have. Also to show you that we didn't start with the whole like sophisticated setup like it looks right now. This is from 2017. We used Jira for that. It's a normal Jira app. We called it Project Central at that time, and it worked well for I don't know 5, 6 years or 7 years when we said, okay, we have so many requests for that, so we built it into our projects. Okay. More project updates. Also, the team ran an experiment on that and saw just like, okay, how does it help, right? If we just like run project updates in that form, and it actually saves around 3 hours per week for every Atlassian, because they don't have to attend any status meetings. So status meetings are normally not happening because everyone gets updated about that, and that's the 3 hours time saving. And that was also the goal, to have less status meetings, but being up to date with what's happening. Of course, there are more in-depth meetings. Sure, we are also doing a lot of meetings, but it helps us to stay up to date and not attend too many status meetings. All right, now. We also use that for bridging the gap between product and engineering. You saw Irene was the project lead for the sunsetting the Jira Mac app. and we needed someone who's just like bridging the gap between product and engineering. And obviously, we all now use AI to write code, and we need to move towards being product engineers, right? We're moving more towards building a product and not worry too much about the technology side, but that's a great role to be in, right? So just like be in between the product and the technology actually that we know and that we use. So so how do we actually bridge the gap between product and engineering? Because there's sometimes a lot of tension that the product people, they're doing a lot of research, they're doing a lot of customer interviews, and then they squeeze normally everything into tiny little user stories, and the developers have to assume everything, build the wrong thing, because they don't have the whole context, right? So we wanted to just like have these product engineers that bridge actually the gap between the product and the engineers. And we do it per project. And per project, we are actually nominating a so-called feature lead. So this is a person actually that is an engineer, works day in, day out on the engineering side of things, but also just like talks a lot to the product people. So this person is bridging the gap between product and engineering. Let's see, bridging the why are we doing it with the what. So the person is explaining everything to the engineers so that he knows, they know actually how to build things, but they also understand the context. So very important for us. So you see the why and the what, and you obviously have seen that before. Why are we doing it? What are we doing? And how will success look like? That's actually the role of the feature lead to fill that everything out there and translate the product needs to the engineering needs. And obviously we're using these project updates to inform everyone. So you can see we have a project poster up there. That's another way of working that we use. So this is actually the one document that bridged the gap, so explaining everything to the engineers, why are we doing it, what will we do, and all the things. And also is communicating with the product people that everything is fine, right? So it helps us to actually understand each other better. I don't go through that. You have seen that, so you know how this works. So the feature lead is also responsible for the updates every Friday. So to explain actually not only the context to the engineers, so they know actually why are they building it, so building the right thing, but also to give the progress to the product people that are watching this project ticket, to actually know what's actually happening and intervene if there's something. Okay, I saw this, you shared some screenshots, that doesn't really look what we have had in mind, so let's talk about that. And that's an important conversation that you need to have, right? You need to there's no throwing over the wall. We need to work closer together. This project updates helps us to communicate better, but it's not replacing the human collaboration, right? The human discussion of things. All right. So feature leads. When we have this feature lead, the number one thing is, people are frustrated that product people came in late into the project and say, "Oh, no, this is not what we thought. Like, change that and change this." And the developers were saying, "Oh, well, if we knew that before, right, we would have built it differently. Thank you very much, right?" And what we measured was 5% increase in developer satisfaction, which seems tiny, right? But in an organization like Atlassian, if you just like can just like go 5% up in developer satisfaction, that's actually a huge step. So it helps actually with the developer satisfaction. It helps actually to be more satisfied and have less frustration. Now, feature leading is a very, very lonely job. Right? You're just like the only one that is just like there. You have to bridge product. You need to talk to engineers. The engineers don't understand the product, so you have to communicate. It's a very, very lonely job, like being Batman, right, in Gotham City. But Batman is not alone. Batman has a sidekick. What's Batman's sidekick? Exactly, Robin, right? Yeah, so superheroes have sidekicks, like Han Solo. Who's the sidekick of Han Solo? Chewbacca. Good, right. Thanks, John. And Ariel, anyone? Sebastian, right, Sebastian. So For feature leads, we're also giving feature leads a sidekick, right? Because it's a very lonely thing. Except the feature lead is not the experienced person. It's actually the one that we want to educate more feature leads, so we give them a feature buddy. And the feature buddy is the experienced person. This is the one that has led 3, 4, 5 features already, and now jumping into a feature buddy role and helps to build new feature leads. So this is the way how we educate new feature leads within Atlassian. All right. Oh, I have to run faster here. Faster QA, experiment number 6. So we love cross-functional teams. We have quality engineers, and we think it's a great idea. Short ways, short discussions. You can just like jump on a Slack directly, get an answer. The quality engineer knows whenever they come in, right? The problem with cross-functional teams is this. It's good in theory, but in practice it's pretty hard, right? For example, here we have a QA to developer ratio of 1 to 30. So 1 QA person, 30 developers. That doesn't work in a cross-functional team. So the QA person has to jump back and forth between actually teams, which then becomes a bottleneck again, which we wanted to avoid with cross-functional teams. So we looked a little bit closer at that, how that actually works. So the devs are normally doing the automated test, right? And the QA is doing the manual testing. And we said, okay, let's run an experiment where we actually give also the manual testing to the engineers. So they have to do the manual testing too. Which means more work for the engineers, but then save time on waiting for QA and less frustration. So QA can drink pina colada on an island and have a good time. No, because we just like educate QA into the teams and say, okay, these are just like helping developers to be better testers. And it's not only that. Also, what we saw and what we wanted to have is that the developers get more responsibility for the quality. There was a lot of thinking about just like, oh yeah, QA will just like test it afterwards, so they will find all the bugs, so I don't have to just like go into that. But now the developers are actually responsible also for the quality. So we have a practice called QA kickoffs, and it goes like this. So QA person, quality assistant person, and developer, before actually the developer starts implementing a new feature, talk together and say, hey, how would you test that feature? And write down the test plan. So they write down the test plans together. Then the QA person leaves. The developer implements the feature, tests the feature according to the test plan, and deploys the feature without QA looking at it anymore. So far as the theory, we have a little bit of a safety net here with a demo, and I talk about it in a bit. But it helps us to give the responsibility more to the development and also remove the bottleneck of the quality engineer. So QA kickoffs for faster development. As I said, right, we got 12% faster delivery just like by half QA kickoffs. So we removed the bottleneck. We really had problems with quality engineers just like testing this. So at that team, it helped with 12% faster delivery. And then also we have a lower feature failure rate, because the developers are actually more responsible for the feature now. So it helps actually both ways. So this was a great experiment. I think not every team. I think the Jira team. I think 40% of the Jira teams are actually practicing QA kickoffs, which is super cool. All right, better feedback. If you build this, it needs actually a team of teams. That is okay, right? As I said, you have 200 characters, but this might not be enough for the core team that is working on things. They need more, right? If you're just like in a development team, you probably need more. The product people need more than just 280 characters, and that's why we run demo sessions also. You maybe also do sprint demos, same thing, right? Demo sessions, everyone in one room. Well, that was back in the days, but now we're doing Zoom calls. So everyone on a Zoom call, and then we run demo sessions, and we have 4 rules of demo sessions. The first rule is they are open, so everyone can join. So everyone that wants just like can come and join the demo session. Marketing people, QA, as I said, right? So QA can actually see what is happening within development. These demo sessions are outcome oriented. So they are actually, we talk about the outcome and we show customer value, which is important, and not talking about implementation details, because we will lose the marketing people or the product people in there. We talk about just about the outcome. Then we discuss and challenge the solution. So sometimes the solution, product people say, oh, I've seen that. Maybe this is not what the customer wanted. I bring that back to the customer. So early feedback here. And then also we celebrate and recognize great work because we're sitting all in one room. And if we just like deploy a milestone, we can celebrate together, which is great. So went great. We did it for some years, but we changed it recently. Now we say everyone can join. No, everyone can watch. There was one team actually that came up with just like, oh no, we're not running these demo sessions anymore. We are recording them. We're recording a video of the demo, right? And then share it with all the stakeholders. So, oh, that's a great idea, right? But what about the whole like reactions? It's gonna miss in a video, right? You don't get the feedback actually. You can't ask questions. And that's why we use actually Loom, our own video technology. And you can actually comment here, to see that down there, yeah. You can comment on the timeline. This is our new AI dev feature. And even I commented on that, and this demo was run in Sydney. I would never have attended a demo session in Sydney on the Zoom call, or find the Zoom call and then see it. But I just like the Loom video got shared with me, and I could watch it, and I can just like give my feedback directly on the video. And then we measured the engagement, right? 50% more engagement, which is cool. And that's also the result of the demo videos. So more people actually watching the video. We had more people than attending the Zoom call or watching the Zoom video, but also because these are just like short and sweet, the videos, just like 8 minutes, 10 minutes max. But also people are more open to comment on things than just like talk on the Zoom call. That's also what we found out. So it helps us actually to do that. And another thing, by rolling out those demo videos, we had a goal of 5,000 demo videos, and we totally crushed it in 2024. We had 17,000 demo videos actually on our instance. So pretty much went viral here. Okay. I think there's the last one that I'm going to talk about better meetings. And it's great, demo videos, async, we're optimizing for that. We want to be productive, more time for deep work. I talked about that. It's good, but sometimes it's also good to sync up, right? To just like be in person or on a Zoom call and see each other and talk things through, discuss things, right? We're humans, we need to discuss things. We don't want to work with AI all the time. We also need to meet, but then to say another meeting, yeah, and that's a stat that we have, 54% leave meetings without any idea what's next. Probably a lot of people can relate to that. I've been in a lot of meetings where I say, okay, next step is we meet again in 2 weeks and talk about it again, or I've been through that a couple of times. You probably too. So taking about here's an example of a decision that we needed to make. So we have the decision here. Someone shared the document with us, and we wanted to discuss this decision. Someone has read the DAISY page. So DAISY is the acronym of our decision framework. So someone has read the DAISY page. Some person hasn't read the DAISY page. And then some people are trying to catch up and pretend they have read it, but they're just like trying to skim it through during the meeting. You can see that the eyes are just like going like this. This is all happening, and this is really bad, right? Everyone has just like different levels. So we just like ran an experiment we call page-led meetings. And for someone who are here in the audience, maybe familiar with a 6-pager from Amazon, it's similar to that. So we say you don't have to prep anything. You come unprepped to the meeting, right? We won't share any slides, so we don't have slides. We just have a page, a document ready, right? So 5% of the meetings we are spending on instructions, what to do. 20% spending on reading the document, reading through the document, and 70% we spend on discussions, and 5% on the things, what's next. So this is intentional timing, right? We use this time intentionally. And that's also very important that we don't just open up a meeting and say, let's discuss it, but we have intentional time in the meeting. So how do we run this? Reading time, as I said, 20% is reading time. You can see reading time here is 9 minutes, so that probably 15 minutes reading time because people need to comment on that. We turn off the cameras and people comment on the document in the meeting. So the first 15 minutes of the meeting is just reading the document, everyone reading the document. And then we have also rules for comments. If we do so-called inline comments, these are just like for things that can be clarified after the meeting. We don't have to discuss that in the whole group. But then we have page meetings under the page. These are the ones that we want to discuss. So everyone puts down their discussion points here. And then we go into discussion and we talk about what's next. And the great thing is then we have a single source of truth. So this is our single source of truth. So the person that is responsible for the document will update the document afterwards, and we don't need any meeting notes because the meeting notes are what's in the document, right? Maybe there's some what's next section that we need to talk about. So page-led meetings, outcome-driven meetings. I think I shared the results in the beginning, right? You saw that when I shared the page with the whole results of the team that they share, right? Minus 20% frustration through page-led meetings, which is great. So, great work experiments, right? QA kickoffs, demo looms, project updates. So these are all experiments that we ran, that we put in our repository of ways of working, different ways of working, modern ways of working that can improve things. And people are free to pick those. Not everyone is running demo looms, but we show it's helping actually. It's not mandatory, but it's helping everyone. Great, right? Everything positive. Every of the experiments ran just like great. Okay, I have just like one more experiment here that didn't go so great. And you might have heard of, or maybe you're also running these hackathons, right? We're running quarterly hackathons. We call it Ship It Days. And you can work on whatever you want, assemble a crew, and you got 24 hours to just like ship something, right? What we saw actually, and we're voting for the winner at the end of the Ship It Day. What we saw actually was there was a bunch of people that always won the Ship It Days. They were the very innovative crew, right? So we said, actually, why don't we put these champions, these people that have the brightest minds of Atlassian into one team, and the whole responsibility of the team is to drive innovation forward, right? Great idea. So we put that into the one team. We called it the innovation team, and we said, okay, we run this experiment for 3 months or so. Okay, cool, right? So what happened is actually these people were doing the cool stuff where the other people actually feeling not responsible for innovation anymore. That's not what we wanted to do, right? We actually have the Ship It Days for get the information from everyone in the company and seeing how can we do better, right? Everyone has great ideas. And we killed it actually with the innovation team. The result were we had less ideas for Ship It Days. So what we did is actually, the result was we stopped it. We didn't want to do it anymore, right? We just like said, okay, it's not working for us. Innovation teams is not working for us. So talking about this, right? How do you get from current work to modern work? It takes small little steps to go from current work to modern work. It's not a big transformation, as I said. And you saw like, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes courage to do something differently, but you need this open culture. So if I just like can give you just a little bit of a recipe how to run those is just like, first start with building a learning culture. It should be baked into the culture that it's okay to start something new, to try something out. And the great thing is, and also what I experience is actually, that if you say it's an experiment and you say, okay, we measure the impact at the end, you can go with that to your manager and say, hey, we're not changing the way we work just like from here to there. We're not just like doing now just demo videos and no demo calls anymore. We're trying this out, and we measure the impact. We show you the numbers, and this is just an experiment, safe. We just like run it for 1-2 months, and then we can discuss if we go back to the old ways of working or to the new ways of working. And that actually helps you to also convince the leadership to do these things. It's an experiment. It's no risk involved, right? It's not a decision that we made that we just like run differently, right? You don't have to be afraid there. And then also what's important is if you found something that really worked, share the learnings. Find a way to how you can share what you just like learned in new ways of working, right? So, for example, we just like recently have these banners in Atlassian Home where we just talk about our place and then have a play of the day to just like show everyone, hey, there's something that might help you in your ways of working, right? We also struggle with rolling that out in a big organization, but this is actually helping. So. You don't need, actually, what you saw, you don't need the big teamwork lab team. It's great if you have behavioral scientists, and that helps you with building the whole thing and have A/B experiments and running those. It's great, but you don't have to be you can be your own teamwork lab and try it out in your team and see how you can work better, be less frustrated, and be more productive. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for attending the talk.